Okay, so now that I have created my thesis statement, I am ready to go into the main part of my essay, which is the body paragraph. This is where all of your ideas come out about you proving what you think about the prompt. Okay, so remember once again, our prompt on this example, remember this is an example, it's not your actual assignment, was to write an essay explaining how friendship enriches a person's life. So then I went and thought of all the examples in my head that I could think of that prove that friendship does actually enrich a person's life. Okay, because if you just say something without proof and without an explanation, without an example, it's not very clear. And why would someone take just your word just because you say it? You actually have to have backup, and that's where these examples come from. After I selected my example, which is New Girl, the TV show, I went and created my thesis statement. After I created my thesis statement, which is friendship enriches a person's life because they know how to be there for you when you are struggling, I took this thesis statement by copying it and pasting it at the top of this slide right here because I wanted to constantly make sure that when I'm writing this body paragraph in this little building mountain right here, that I am focused on this idea at the top, okay, this main idea of my paper. So you need to create your topic sentence. Your topic sentence will always start with an example or for example, because it's going to be the first sentence that goes into your body paragraph. And you need to introduce the example that you ended up selecting. So like I said, I selected the example New Girl. So I said an example of a friend being there for someone then they were struggling is in the first episode of the show New Girl when Jess was stood up on a date. Her 3 roommates left the party to go find her and cheer her up. That directly relates to my thesis statement because it shows a situation of Jess who was struggling and her friends being there for her. Then in this part right here, the elaboration and details, I am going to write as many sentences as I can to give background information on the situation, since I'm sure not all of you are familiar with the show New Girl, okay? So I'm going to explain the situation and how this example actually proves that friendship enriches a person's life. So I said, even though Jess was the newest roommate to the group, the guys paid attention to the things she likes and what makes her smile. Background information, but also paying attention to the things she likes and what makes her smile is showing how friendship enriches a person's life. So it does still relate to my thesis statement. They were able to find her sitting alone at the dinner table. She was in tears and very down on herself because she also just got cheated on by her long-term boyfriend, Spencer. So she is like going through it. Earlier in the episodes, the guys noticed that she was obsessed with the movie Dirty Dancing. So in the middle of the fancy restaurant, they started singing the classic song, The Time of My Life. Everyone was looking at them as they sang the words wrong and off tune, but Jess went from crying by herself to laughing and dancing out of the restaurant since they were kicked out. Jess went from feeling down in the dumps and worthless to being surrounded by love and joy. So right here, this sentence really drives it home, showing that Jess went from struggling to using her friends to take her out of that struggle, which directly relates to my thesis statement once again. Connecting to the thesis statement, I said, this moment enriched Jess's life because instead of prolonging her agony, thinking something was wrong with her, the guys made her realize that some people are just jerks and she was awesome enough to leave the party of the year for. So I think of my thesis statement and I think, how does this prove that my thesis statement is true? I just readdressed my thesis statement. You could literally use the words from this example, friendship enriches a person's life because blah, blah, blah. And you actually explain how this example proves that your thesis statement is true. You're driving the message home, using your example, tying it all together so that you have a focused and coherent body paragraph.